to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Haas from nichepursuits.com. And I'm excited to bring you another discussion here between Perrin and I. Perrin's joining me today from Chicago. How you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good. How's it going, everybody? It's funny, I was on one of Gail's hidden podcasts in his authority section, and he asked me to say, how's it going, everybody? Because apparently I say that every time, and I had no idea on this podcast.
It's your catchphrase, man. Yeah. How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, I guess. It's like the most boring catchphrase in the world.
You should wear a t-shirt. I don't know. Sell t-shirts, maybe.
Yeah, good idea.
So, glad you're doing okay, man. Yeah, today we wanted to have just a discussion, really. We came into this call today with a couple of notes, things we do want to talk about. But as usual, once Perrin and I start going back and forth, things could change course a little bit. But I felt like it was time to shift our main focus of the podcast, at least, away from just talking about Amazon FBA. Of course, we're doing that, and I'm very excited about that business, and it's going very well. But I don't want to just kind of turn a blind eye to the other part of my business that we're still actively doing, which is building websites, creating content, and even link building. And so this is going to kind of catch people up on the SEO strategies that we're employing in our own business, the link building strategies and other things. And yeah, overall, just to let people know, hey, we are still in the trenches. We are still building some websites. And we'll let you know how it's going. So we just kind of thought that would be a good idea to catch people up.
Yeah, who'd have thunk, man? SEO blog talking about link building. I mean, it's kind of funny, but honestly, it almost seems like link building is going out of fashion. Like there are very few people talking about actual link building. And on the bigger blogs, it kind of even seems like a bad word, you know? But something I've been throwing myself into, and I've been getting super interested in it, and we're obviously doing it differently. So it'll be fun to talk about all of our sites and also this new obsession of mine, which is chasing down links.
Yeah, absolutely. So Perrin's got some nice nuggets of wisdom here that he's going to share. And of course, I got a few thoughts as well. But overall, I just want to start with kind of lessons learned, because over the last couple of years, we have built a lot of sites and things have changed a lot from when we were building out small niche websites. And in fact, as I look back, I think it's almost a year exactly, if I'm not mistaken, that the PBN update came out, and I wrote a big blog post saying that I was done with PBNs, that Google can have its way. I'm just done with building private blog networks, and it has been about a year since then, and I'm happy to say that I have never been tempted to build out a private blog network, and I am not doing that at all. And even before that time, we had kind of stopped building lots of small sites, and we're focusing really only on one or two larger niche websites, if you will. But we've learned some lessons in the past year, 2 years, that, you know, as we've sort of shifted our strategies. And even since we built out our big authority site for our book website, we were selling Kindle books, and we built out a site with it. We did things in Google News, and we learned some lessons there that we've shared already. But maybe I'll just jump into kind of the good news and then go into the specific strategies that we're now employing. The good news basically is that Perrin and I have been building a website together that is one that supports my physical products on Amazon. So basically it's a website in the same niche as our Amazon FBA products, and we've been building that at the exact same time we've been building our Amazon FBA business, in hopes that eventually it's going to bring in a bunch of traffic on its own naturally, and maybe we'll even start selling our products directly from the website. I almost said the name of our products right there. I got to be careful. But up to this point, we have been building the site. It's now ranking in Google, and the traffic is increasing. It's not a ton. It's still only a couple of months old, really, that it's been indexed in Google. And so we're getting a dozen or so visitors naturally a day from Google at this point, but we expect that to increase here pretty quickly.
And the really good thing about that, and I've always said that I really don't pay attention to traffic or rankings when I'm first starting a site. In like the first 4 months of the site, I think they're just going to make you paranoid, and they're going to make you feel like stuff isn't working. What I tend to prefer to look at is queries in the old Google Webmaster Tools and impressions. And if you see queries and impressions going up and to the right, then you are doing something well. And I've seen this with a site that we're going to talk about in a second, but the FBA site really looks like it's on the beginning of a strong trajectory. I mean, especially since we started building some links and really adding some content and got some other issues squared away, the graph looks pretty good. So that part is exciting for sure.
It is. It's very exciting. And so we've just gone through, really it's only been the past maybe 3 weeks that we've really been ramping up content. Maybe you can give us an update, Perrin, of about how many articles we published here recently in the last couple of weeks, how many of those are live, and what are the plans going forward?
Yeah, totally. So we have almost 50 articles on the site currently. I believe we have 45 live. We have 5 in the hopper that a writer just delivered to us today. And we are also writing articles around each product and putting them on a product page using WooCommerce, so like an actual e-commerce plugin with a shopping cart. And those also count, and we know because some of them are ranking. So it's about 50 articles, which may not seem like a lot compared to, say, the couple hundred that we had on our authority site, months ago. But you have to remember that we've only been at it for a couple months, really. And we had some issues with a writer, and we had a big Longtail Pro launch. So realistically, we got these articles up in maybe 8 or 10 cumulative weeks, which is pretty strong. And right now we're on pace to add about 5 a week until we get to, the 50 or 60 mark, where we can kind of, where we've covered most of the keywords that we really want to cover, and we can start thinking about different types of content that we want to scale the site with in a more authoritative way. Because just to be clear, these are Amazon type articles, the ones that you've seen me write for Penny Shaved and that sort of thing, targeting the best product keywords or like review type keywords. So that's what we have on there right now. We're sitting at 45 or 50, and we're trying to grow it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the signs are good. We're excited about the site itself. And so, yeah, kind of one point of this podcast is just to state publicly that, hey, we are still very involved in SEO. We're still doing these content strategies and link building strategies, even though we may not talk about them quite as much, just because we only have 1 or 2 sites that we're really focusing on. And as we have more success, we'll share more of what we're learning. But
yeah, and really, that's one of my biggest responsibilities. People always email me, ask me about FBA, and I just say that's Spencer's thing. Like I really am a total noob at the FBA stuff. What I do for you, Spencer, is I build out this big FBA site, or what will be a big FBA niche site, and I do the keyword course that we just released. But this is pretty much how I spend my days, is building this thing out.
Absolutely. And in addition, I do want to talk about your own site. This is a personal website of Perrin's that he works on, nights and weekends and a little bit of spare time here and there, that he's been working on for a number of months, and it's going very, very well. And so it's another example of some of these strategies that we're starting to employ, a small success story at this point. So Perrin, why don't you give us some details on whatever you want to share there as far as the success you're seeing with that site?
For sure. So you guys probably know that I had the shaving site that got absolutely destroyed in the PBN update. That was almost a year ago. That was almost exactly a year ago. It was in August of 2014. So for the rest of 2014, I was trying to recover that site, and I had bought a site in the beauty niche. Both of those things just totally did not work. And sometimes it happens, and that's okay. But I eventually decided to just build a new site. And so I started this particular site January 10th of this year, and it's had some pretty crazy ups and downs. I had some legal trouble, and I had to rebrand and redirect every article on the domain and, cut and get new logos and all of this stuff. But most of the work was done in the first 3 months of this year, and I've been slowly marketing in my free time since then. But currently, it gets about 1,000 visitors a day, and it's probably going to end up making $1,700 or $1,800 this month, and all signs point to that. And just totally, keeping on going. But I've built it in a completely white hat way. I've been building lots of different types of links. I've been adding way more content and different types of content, and basically trying to build it out into a true authority site. But it's been really fun. It's been a testing ground for the things that we are doing here. So I have failed more times I can count with like new tactics and stuff on this site that I'm building. But the good thing about that is I'm getting a much better sense for what works, and we can build our FBA site more efficiently now. But overall, it's been a super fun project, and I hope by this time next year it can be, a really sizable business.
Absolutely. And with that kind of traffic, you're starting to get to the point where you can think about launching your own products. And I know we've talked about this. Maybe you're going to want to get into your own FBA product that you can do related to your site, and so many other things where you can take your $1,700 a month or $2,000 a month and maybe double that even with the same amount of traffic if you eventually have your own product. And
I think that's a pretty good lesson, is that with this site, I'm still in the red. So it's making $1,700 a month currently, but 2 months ago it was making $400 a month. And before that, I had invested $5,000 or so of my own money. So this site is in the red right now, and my plan is not to take money out. It's to reinvest, because $1,700 buys you a lot of content. And that's kind of how I want to grow. Or it buys you a couple batches of 2 or 3 products, if it's a small product. So there are a bunch of different ways to grow, but the plan right now is, to use that money to reinvest.
Yeah, absolutely. And so those are kind of 2 successes that we're having right now, Perrin's individual site, and then, of course, our FBA site that we're building is showing some early signs of success. And so we want to share with everybody what's working for us. What did we do different here, and what's our strategy going forward? Couple of things that we want to talk about is perhaps first, let's talk about different types of content that we're publishing on this site. And then second, link building strategies. And in particular, we're going to dive into outreach and that sort of thing. Things outside of shady link building tactics. Definitely outside of PBNs. You won't hear us talking about that sort of thing at all. So, yeah, let's talk about types of content. Back in the day, it used to be all about just publishing as many short, quick hit articles that you could do. Maybe they were 500 or 1,000, maybe even 1,500 words, but they were just targeting, one simple keyword, and that was kind of it. You just publish content, and you would see what stuck. But now we're definitely moving into different types of content. And so, Perrin, why don't you give us a breakdown of kind of what is our content strategy that we're employing on these sites?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing I think is to say that the core of both of these sites is almost exactly the same as every site that we've done in the past couple years that you guys have seen us build, that you know how to do. These are the articles about Amazon products. They target keywords with the modifier best at the front, best pink shower heads, that sort of thing, or the modifier reviews at the end, pink shower head reviews. So that's the core. We do that because that's what we know how to do. We know how to write those articles. We know how to rank those articles. And we have a proven track record with those articles. We want them to make money first.
Yeah, and if I will just jump in here and sort of reiterate that point that, I wrote a ton of content on Niche Pursuits about, the Niche Site Project 1 and the Niche Site Project 2. And I get people asking a lot of times, they email me and say, hey, is all of those posts that you did irrelevant now? Has Google changed so much that I shouldn't even employ those strategies from those first two niche site projects? And I say exactly what you just said, basically, that you should still follow the strategies there, that almost all of the posts as I look back are about keyword research, and that's all still very, very applicable. Picking your niche, still very applicable. And then writing these types of articles that you just mentioned, finding the great keywords, and then maybe writing up a huge review article that has a comparison chart. All of those strategies are exactly the same.
Yes.
None of that's changed. And so go right ahead and read the content that I wrote up in Niche Site Project 1 and 2. And honestly, probably 80% of everything you read in that entire project, nothing has changed. The things that have changed is the link building strategies, and we're going to dive into that in just a second. So at least the first part of the content strategy, nothing's changed. However, we are doing a couple of things in addition to those base articles, if you will, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think with those base articles, it is important to point out that with our previous sites, it was all about the products, be like a 50-word introduction and then product reviews. And that does put you at risk for a thin content penalty. With our current articles, they're about 1,500 words long, and half of it, 750 words, is what we call value-added section. And that is only about, or that's the purpose of that section is to give people tips about that type of product, what they should be looking for, pros and cons of making that purchase. So like really useful information for people. And, that's just part of building a good website instead of a made for AdSense website or made for Amazon website. The other type of content that I think I want to go into first, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I think it's worth pointing out because the early signs are so cool, is product pages with add to cart buttons that support our FBA products. So on our new site, our best ranking article, which surprised me because I believe we're still in the sandbox, honestly. We're only like 4 months old with this thing and we've done a redirect. But our best ranking article targets an e-commerce, like a straight up e-commerce keyword. So it's a keyword that has the modifier for sale at the end. So to keep with our analogy, if we were selling shower heads, this would be a WooCommerce product page, which you can recreate with any shopping cart plugin for WordPress. And it's targeting the keyword pink shower heads for sale. And we aren't ranking on the first page for any keyword that we're targeting except pink showers for sale or pink shower head for sale. And I'm speculating, and this is something that Hayden Miyamoto said a long time ago, that Google likes to rank e-commerce terms or e-commerce stores for terms that people are looking for when they specifically want to buy from a store. And so having a shopping cart on your page helps you rank for those terms. But whatever it is, having 1,000-word, a nice meaty 1,000-word description for this product seems to have helped us rank. So we're on the first page for that type of content.
It's very cool to have these in-depth product pages. And again, these are actually products that I'm selling directly on Amazon. And so we've written, an in-depth description, more than we can do just on our product page on Amazon. And we've actually made, if I go back, I think we've made a few sales actually. So yeah. We're tracking how many people buy through our affiliate link from our website and then go buy my FBA product on Amazon, and we've made a few of those sales. And so it's really cool, and I don't know what the search process is for these people buying. It may be that they go to Amazon and they find my product, and then they go, well, I want to see some reviews on this, and so they do a Google search for my product name, and then they find my website, of course, because I think I'm the only website that mentions my product name.
Well, I mean, it's even more broad than that. Our best keyword, according to Webmaster Tools, is would be similar or analogous to pink shower heads without the brand name.
Exactly. No, that's true. That's a good point. And so, yeah, I think they're doing both. They're searching for our product name. We've probably gotten some searches there, but you're absolutely right. We're now getting searches on sort of more generic terms or e-commerce terms that are leading to our pages.
And we're right in the middle of the first page, and we've been there for weeks. So it's not the Google dance, and it's not the sandbox. So it's super, super encouraging, because we put that product description page on there because we thought we should, not because we wanted to rank for it. And it just ended up on the first page. And so it was kind of a happy accident.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we've got these review and these best type articles that we're writing that we've always written. We've got product pages. What else has worked either for our site here or perhaps your site? What's some content strategies or types of content outside of those that's working for you as well?
For sure. So I think one of the things I've been doing that's working the best so far, or that has shown some early signs of success, are shorter, purely information articles. So to give you an idea of what that might mean, it might be something like, if you had a baseball site, how to throw a curveball. So it's a simple question with a relatively simple answer. There aren't a whole lot of steps. It's not something that's going to warrant a 1,500 or 2,000 word article. And it's something that's shows all of the signs of being low competition as any other type of keyword. But the idea, and I have to give credit to Chris Lee here from RankXL.com, because this is almost his whole strategy. He makes all of his money from AdSense. But the idea is to find those questions or those keywords that people in your market are very, very interested in, that you can write shorter, not super short, not like 200 words, but in the 700 word, 1,000 word range, so relatively short articles, but still have good information. Find those keywords that are so low competition, that answer real questions, and then do lots of them, because it's a really good way to scale. You establish yourself as an authority. They're cheap. They're fast. They don't include all the things that make review articles time consuming, like pictures of the products, tables, inserting affiliate links manually, the things that, just eat the hours in your day. They're super easy. They're super quick. They're super cheap. Chris even has a strategy to get these for like $5. And I try that and it does work, but it takes some editing time. So I usually pay about $15 for mine. But for $150, you can add 10 new pieces of content to your site. And they won't all rank, but I do have plenty on the first page. And I think I've done an initial round of, 30 articles or something. And when you get several hundred of these, you can make money with like display ads and stuff. But at the beginning stages where I'm at, the idea is to just get more traffic, establish yourself as an authority, maybe attract some natural links and shares, but most of all, get people on an email list, because the more traffic you have, the more people you can sign up for an email list where you're promoting a product and make a little bit of money off of it. But I think, I'm sure at some point we'll do a more in-depth article about that on Niche Pursuits if it keeps working. But so far, it seems to be a pretty efficient way to scale.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to mention just the difference between the types of keywords that you might target. I know Perrin mentioned what that is, but just to clarify, an informational keyword is different because it's not targeting a product specifically. It's usually something that might have a lower cost per click, so a very low CPC. There's probably not a ton of advertisers if you do a search for this on Google. This is pure information. So the example he gave, how to throw a curveball. There's not really a product associated with that. Another example might be, can babies eat honey? It's pure information. There's not going to be a lot of advertisers. And a short article can answer that question. You don't need, 2,000 words to explain whether or not babies can eat honey.
And really, this modifies the business model of lots of huge media sites. So if you look at sites like the Huffington Post or some of the sites from Gaiacom or Demand Media, the really well-known AdSense publishers, who have $1 million companies, they do almost purely like 500, 700, 800 word articles. And that's how they make their money. But yeah, you're right. They're very different types of keywords. We often steal these from forums because forums are weak sites, and forums will often rank for these types of keywords, and you can usually beat them in the SERPs. And so it's pretty easy to write a good article around those types of questions. And usually the competition is pretty low.
Absolutely. And that's kind of a good reason you want to have a mix of these, right? Because these keywords might get you a lot of traffic because some of them can be high trafficked keywords, often very low competition, but they're not very commercial keywords. So that is why you want to use them to build your email list or do other things. And you can make money with display ads, but the CPC might be very low for a lot of these. That's why you want to also mix in these more valuable keywords, these more commercial keywords that we usually talk about, the best survival knife and the best safety razor and these product-based keywords where you can sell a product directly. So you can have these very easy to monetize type keywords versus the informational keywords that can get you the traffic, can be low competition. And so I just see it as a better, well-rounded strategy if you have all of these types of content and getting traffic from really kind of different types of queries, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think there maybe are two last points to make about these types of articles. One is that you can build them with monetization in mind later, just like you said. So, for instance, if you wrote that article, how to throw a curveball, you might also write, how to bat left-handed or any other baseball keyword, and you might write 30 of those, for $400 or something. And then you might put a email pop-up that sells or on that category that sells a baseball fundamentals course for $97. And so you can kind of do those things and build these articles around some sort of product if you want. The other point I wanted to make is that it just makes a more well-rounded site. If you're going to build a site, this is a cheap way to make you look like you're not just scheming to make a quick buck with Amazon products. And when you do that, not only do you appear more trustworthy and you're more likely to sell anything or get an email, it's also much easier to network and build links and do all the other stuff that you need to do to grow your business.
Absolutely. And so I actually want to move into link building now because that is another lesson that we've learned along the way, or at least changed along the way. And so some of these strategies that we're doing now, we did touch on a little bit during the Niche Site project. We talked about doing a little bit of outreach, and I think we talked about, ego bait, writing articles and trying to get people to link back to those. So we did touch on some of these strategies, but today maybe we can talk about what we've learned and how we're doing a little bit more in-depth type outreach in particular, and what's the business case of it versus, both of us get a lot of people that say, man, I just want to do something that's hands off and easy. Can't I just hire a package from, you fill in the blank service or build out a PBN? And it's just so easy. I get the link guaranteed. Don't have to reach out to people and actually email and manage that whole process, right? It just seems like such a nightmare to actually do outreach. So let's dive into that whole subject. What are we doing now for link building? What's working, and particularly outreach?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess first is just the business case of outreach, because I talk to so many people who are still building PBN links, and I cannot understand why. And it goes way beyond just the risk of building PBN links. That's obvious. The people doing them know there's a risk, and they're taking steps to avoid it, to avoid getting caught, but they know that there's a risk, right? They do it, I think, because one, it's perceived to be easier. Two, it's perceived to be cheaper. And three, I think it overcomes a psychological barrier of interacting with people. I really think that's the case. I've talked to a whole bunch of people who are scared, actually don't like the idea of having to send out an email and try to get a link. I think maybe because they're doing we feel like we're trying to trick people or something, but PBNs seem to solve these problems for people. So the business case for outreach is maybe more about correcting misconceptions about PBNs. So maybe I can just kind of outline it. Say you want to build 15 links with PBNs. You have to buy expired domains. You have to buy hosting. You have to buy at least 3 or 4 articles for every site to make it look legitimate, maybe something more like 5 or 6. And if you do that 15 times, you're going to be spending maybe $1,500 on the low end if you're doing it for, $100 a site. Plus, you have to take all the steps to manage your writers and to set up, different IPs and all the other stuff you have to do with PBNs. To find a list of 1,500 sites to email for a specific piece of content is like one afternoon of work, and then you pay somebody on Elance to find all the contact information while you craft some content. In the end, you're spending, 10 or 20 hours of your time and $300 to get way more links than you would if you're building your own PBNs. I heard you trying to chime in there, Spencer. Did you have something to add?
Oh, I just had a couple of comments. You were. I agree. I agree that there are a lot of misconceptions that people have had with building PBNs, and I totally agree with your points that it's usually been perceived that it's cheaper to do PBNs and easier, but both of us having gone through it, it actually isn't cheaper and isn't easier, and at the end of the day, you actually get better links by doing just genuine outreach.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I did my first outreach campaign for my personal site, I got 15 links, and I paid about $15 per link. And these are white hat links that I got on real sites with real audiences. I got referral traffic out of it, and I never have to worry about the risk of those links hurting me in Google,
And when you said you paid $15 per link, maybe you can clarify what you mean.
Yeah, so I spent about, $175 total on that round of outreach, and most of that was for an infographic, which is one link building strategy. I did all the research myself. I, pulled up a list of people, sent the emails myself. Found the contact information myself, but it didn't take too long. It was, 2 weeks or something worth of work, not super long time. So I spent about $175 and I got 15 or 16 links from it.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify. You weren't actually paying for links.
Correct.
You're just, that's the amount of money it took to create the infographic and perhaps gather the information needed to get their emails so you could do the outreach. Everybody willingly, linked to you.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
And so it was dollars in versus the amount of links I had when it was over. Correct. So it was like $15 a link. And when you're thinking about what people are paying for links right now from agencies or from services, that's like, at least half the price, but probably more like a tenth of the price if you're going with an agency. So in my experience, outreach is way cheaper than doing anything else.
I agree. No matter what business you get involved with, and certainly in online business and building websites, there's going to be risk involved. And one of the jobs as a business owner is to try and reduce your risk to a level that you can withstand, or a risk that you're willing to tolerate. And so you can actually lower the amount of risk by doing real sort of link building that Google approves of. I mean, this is something that if you're creating good content and people find out about that content and want to link to you, that's exactly what Google wants. And so you're actually reducing your risk in Google by doing genuine outreach versus this other sort of very risky, building out private blog networks and other link building strategies that everybody knows has inherent risk involved with doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, the lesson there, first of all, the business case just with raw numbers is that it's cheaper, it's faster, it's easier, and all of those things together make it more efficient. So that's business case number one. The other thing I think to say about outreach is that if you go into it, you don't need to do a whole lot necessarily to have success. My site started making money with 15 links total from outreach, and also that you probably will have to experiment to see what works for your site. For my site, Skyscraper didn't work at all. It totally failed. Gesto Graphics worked really, really well. For our FBA site, guest posting has been working for us. Broken link building, at least our first try, has not. So you might have to do, a few more things and maybe try some stuff, but in the end, it really is a cheaper way to go.
I agree. And of course, we could dive into that a whole lot more, but that generally has just been, a big win for us at this point, is just kind of going this route of creating valuable content, whether that's any of the things that you mentioned, a guestographic, skyscraper, sort of a broken link building resource, whatever it may be, and then just taking that content and getting it in front of as many eyeballs as possible through direct outreach it's worked pretty well for us, and that's what we're going to continue doing here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just to give people a takeaway for something that you can do today without having to learn a whole lot about outreach, the thing that's worked well for both my blog and the FBA blog, the very first thing you should do is ask people who have blogs if you can just guest post on their site. They will almost always say yes, and everybody knows 5, 10, 15 bloggers. I mean, we are all bloggers, So at the very least, you can just go make friends with other people who are doing what you're doing. But those are very easy links, and it's a really good place to get your feet wet.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I agree. I mean, that's actually what I did to launch my blog 5 years ago or whatever it was. Whenever I launched Niche Pursuits, I started my blog. I just went out to people that I knew, other bloggers, and usually just told them about my blog and my content. And that got the ball rolling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very early on. It was actually before I ever created nichepursuits.com. I had a blog previous to that called nicheadsense.challenge.com.
Oh, wow.
That's the first time I connected with Pat Flynn back in whatever it was, 2009, 2010, 5-6 years ago. And he linked to my little dinky blog, back then. And yeah, we've been friends ever since. So, that works really well. And no matter what niche you are, just reach out to other people in your niche or people that you just know, right? Personal friends that maybe aren't in your niche, but they have websites. Reach out to them and figure out a way that you can work, whether that's a guest post or something that makes sense where they can mention your site on their site. So I think there's some takeaways there that hopefully people can apply into their own business. In addition, let's talk just a little bit more about link building and in particular the structure of link building and on-site structure, internal link building, maybe some things that we're doing now that we weren't doing as well as we could have previously. So what are some of those things that we're taking on now, Perrin?
Sure. So here's the old strategy. You find the keyword that you want to rank for most, you build a PBN, and you send all of your links to that page. Obviously, that's tough to do with outreach. Nobody wants to link to your best pink shower heads for petite women article or whatever it is, They're so hard to build links to, it's not worth it. The way we're doing it now, which is a strategy that I learned, it's not a new strategy, but it's a strategy I was coached through by Gail from Authority Hacker, so props to him. But the idea is to build big pieces of really marketable content, which in the industry are called linkable assets, stuff that you can show to other bloggers. You can post on social bookmarking sites to try to get real traffic. You can maybe do some broken link building or some skyscraper link building, but stuff that's really impressive. It might have an infographic. It might have a custom tool. It might just be a huge guide that provides lots of good information or compiles a lot of resources. So you kind of get the picture here. Something that's very, very, very valuable. You use that to build links. So all the external links are coming to that article because you've done a bunch of outreach. After that campaign's over and you have, however many links pointing to that article, you put internal links from that article to all of your product pages. It could be that you have a related post plugin, or you could do it manually, which is what I like to do for those articles at least. And the idea is that the authority coming into that article through all of those fantastic links will then flow out through those internal links and give all of your product pages a boost. And that really is enough to get those pages ranking. So I have I've done that with my blog. I've only done 3 pieces of content marketing, and they've all gotten some links. Some perform better than others, but they all then link to my most important product pages, and all of those are on the first page of Google. So none of them have external links pointing to them. I'm ranking them only with internal links after I've built links to these linkable assets. So that's the general strategy now. But the days of building links to your product pages, I think, are over, especially if you're doing it white hat.
I mean, it's just a lot more difficult to do that, and the strategy that you've described just makes sense. People want to link to articles or content that are really valuable or really interesting, and so if you can create something that has all of those ingredients for people and they're willing to link to that, yeah, you have control over that. You can use it to internally link to your other pages and give those pages a boost. And so it's something that we're employing that, yeah, it's working really well. So anything else as far as that's concerned about the structure of link building that we wanted to sort of talk about?
No, but I think in general, the most important thing with that is just to try it, link building in general. So I've talked to a couple good friends of mine who I've been friends with through Niche Pursuits, and also my brother who has a site that's supporting him and as he's traveling the world right now. And, a lot of people are scared to try link building, but my brother might be a good example. He didn't even create content. He just has a really nice looking blog and he's been publishing some cool stuff. So he emailed links and resources pages, so like recommended websites or like useful links, suggested websites, those sorts of pages. And he just sends out 20 emails a day. And I think he's gotten 5 or 6 links total in the last month, which is a really good pace. It'd be tough to build PBNs at that pace anyway. And he's seeing some benefits from it. And he's not even really trying that hard. And he hasn't even created content. That's just the way that he was most comfortable with. And he just started. So I think if you're going to try it, there are a lot of resources out there, and you shouldn't get analysis paralysis. Read a few things that you're interested in, but mostly just start sending emails.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, boy, it seems like that's the lesson on so many topics that I talk about is quit just studying the subject and start taking some action, right? I mean, go out and actually start practicing and trying and doing whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. That's the best way to learn anything rather than just reading books and blog posts, to go out and actually, in this case, do some outreach, send out some emails and try to get some links and see what the results are. You might be surprised and find that it works very, very well for you.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't work well, it's still worth it. Say you get a 1% conversion instead of 5%.
Mm-hmm.
It still won't take that long to get to 15 or 20 links. And maybe to cap this section off, I can share that I just got an email that we got a guest post published on a DA88 blog. So
wow, nice
for our FBA one. So
sweet. Good
rocking
news.
And rolling, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I mean, we've got some great links coming into this new site that we have. I mean, the FBA site, the website associated with our FBA products, I mean, it's only done around $30 this month in affiliate sales, so it's nothing, to get too excited about, right? But we have sold an additional product, so I made about $65. So we've made about $100 directly from this website. And like I said, it's only been a couple of months that we've been working on it. And so all of the trend lines are where we want to see them. They're moving up. It's not where we want it to be, and it's not super exciting, right? $100 in a month, big deal. But if the trend continues in 6 months, it will be a very exciting site, and we'll have much, much bigger numbers to share. And I guess just kind of wrapping up everything, I mean, that's one reason that I haven't talked a lot about SEO and building websites and our content and link building strategies. I don't do a weekly podcast on the same subject every week because, I've gotten a lot of people asking me, well, why don't you talk about building niche sites and why don't you talk about SEO anymore? Well, we want to talk about it once we start seeing the real big success. And so we like to practice some of the strategies. And when we see that success, we start sharing more. And right now I'm seeing a lot more success, at least directly in terms of revenue, from my FBA sales themselves. So that's why we've been talking about selling directly on Amazon, because it's a little bit more exciting. I can log into my account, and like right now I'm looking at it, I can see in the last 7 days I've sold $6,148 worth of product. That's pretty exciting, right? In 7 days, over $6,000 in sales. So I'm on pace to do about $25,000 in 30 days for that. In fact, that's what I've basically done in the last 30 days, is about 25 grand on my FBA product. So that business is moving right along. It's doing really, really well. And so that's why I've talked about it a lot more than perhaps just SEO and building websites, because, well, $100 a month really pales in comparison to $25,000 a month, right? So
yeah, but
is right. Mm-hmm.
But that $100 is exciting in a different way. Obviously, it's, who cares if you get $100 in your bank account when you're getting $25,000? But almost all of the Amazon sites we've built have had a revenue per 1,000 visitors of like 40, 50, 60 bucks. And of course, this traffic sample size is very small, but the RPM is like $1,000 now, and like that's if that continues, and at even half of that, when we're at 1,000 visitors a day or something, which is kind of our 6-month goal or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's a good chunk of change, and that's a very good subsidiary media property that actually supports a real physical product business. So it's kind of cool.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I am excited about it. The numbers are small, but I see all the good signs. They're happening, and we'll get there. So just wanted to give an update to people listening in that we're still involved in building these websites. And we've updated our content and link building strategies a little bit. So we wanted to share with you the latest in our own business. So hopefully you've got some takeaways from just this simple discussion between Perrin and I and kind of what we're doing. I think that there's some good tips there. And of course, there's a whole lot more that we could go into. And I'm sure that we'll be sharing a little bit more down the road. But as of now, Perrin, any parting words, sort of last thoughts on this particular subject today?
I think I would like to hear updates on everybody else's sites. We haven't talked about this in a while, and we haven't talked to you about it in a while. So I know there are people still out there building niche sites or building authority sites or the same thing. So tell us what you're up to. And I guess maybe my only other parting words is just remember that the world is your PBN.
Nice. Deep thoughts from Perrin right to finish it off. No, that's good. We would love to hear from you guys. So stop on by over at nichepursuits.com. Leave a comment or a thought there, and we always do our best to respond. And of course, you're also more than welcome to leave a rating or review on iTunes. You can do that over at nichepursuits.com/iTunes. But that wraps it up for the day. Just want to say best of luck to everybody in their business, and hopefully they can take some action and apply some of the things that they've learned here. So thanks a lot, and have a great day.